every time I talk on Instagram about time blocking, I always get a lot of questions about how I do it because I do it very differently. So I really want to dive in with you how I do it and how this just became an absolute game changer for my business, for my flow, for my structure, just all of the things. So before you roll your eyes because you heard someone talk about time blocking, I just want you to know that how I do it is just very different from probably anything you've tried or heard before. I've heard from a lot of people like, I've tried that, it doesn't work for me. I thought the exact same thing as well before I started doing this. I don't know, maybe like 2 years ago at this point. So if traditional time blocking makes you feel like you're just like forcing yourself into a box and it kills your vibe, I totally get it. I got you. So that's why I just want to spill the tea with you on how I created a time blocking system that actually works for me. And it is a total vibe, trust me. So I didn't just wake up one day and figure out like the perfect schedule for myself. I feel like that's something that everybody is like obsessed with talking about when you are self-employed, solopreneur, whatever you want to call it. So I started time blocking because I needed structure. But the traditional like plan your whole week ahead of time method, or like even plan your whole month ahead of time method, like some people talk about that, it just has never been for me whatsoever. Like my energy shifts day to day, even week to week. So that's why I just decided to experiment and create a system that honors my energy levels while still keeping me productive and organized. So here's exactly how I started. For 2 weeks, I used my Google Calendar to track absolutely everything in my life. I did it throughout the day, and when I say everything, I literally mean everything. I spent, like, if I had my mom call me and I talked to her on the phone for 15 minutes, I wrote that down on my calendar. If I took a coffee break, I wrote that down on my calendar. If I was working on client tasks for 45 minutes, wrote that down on my calendar. Lunch, social media time, like deep work sessions, everything went on my calendar, but it did not go on my calendar until after I did it. And so why I did it that way is because I felt like before I could create this awesome schedule and structure for myself, I needed to even know like what the hell I was doing in my day to day, because I don't know about you, sometimes I just had those days where I was like, it'd get to be 5-6 o'clock and I'm like, what did I even do with my day? Like, I don't even know what I did. Like, yeah, I checked a few things off, but like maybe I checked 3 things off and I've been working from 9 to 5. Like, what did I actually do? And then once you are able to like have the data and a log of how you actually have spent your days, then you're like, oh, okay, this is what I'm doing. It was just totally mind-blowing. So I started to see like clear patterns in how I work best. So like I was able to realize like what times of day I'm most creative, because it's like, okay, Anna, I see most of the time you were making social media posts in Canva between like 1 and 3. I noticed in the mornings was when I was doing more like tedious admin-y type of tasks. And so it was easy for me to see like naturally the trends of when I started in my workday, when I stopped, when I was taking breaks for lunch, when I was taking coffee breaks, when I was like, okay, I need to scroll for 10 minutes. Okay, I want to talk to someone for a few minutes. Having that 2 weeks worth of data just gave me so much clarity, and it's really what inspired me to then create this flexible system that literally just like fits me like a glove. So here is how my time blocking system works now, and it is totally backwards from the way that most people do it. And so still, instead of pre-planning my schedule, stressing out over sticking to it, I only add those tasks to my calendar after I've done them. Literally, I still do it to where I add it to my calendar after I've done them. So I have like my, weekly to-do list that I'll make on Sunday or Monday, whatever, of like, okay, here's everything that I need to get done this week. It'll be Monday, I'll wake up and I look at my weekly list and I'm like, okay, what do I, need to do today based on any important dates? And then what do I want to do today? What do I feel like doing today? And from that, I'll pick out the few tasks, because now I also know how much time it typically takes me to do things, because I've seen the data as to from my Google Calendar time blocks to be like, okay, If I've got social media posts I need to make and some blogs I need to make, I can't do all of that in one day. Like I can get one blog done in a day versus then cramming a bunch of things into your to-do list for the day, and then you're disappointed because you're like, damn, I didn't get to any of that. I have that weekly list of what I need to get done in the week. Then I break that down by, okay, it's Monday. What do I want to get done today? And then from there is where I then know, okay, here's what I feel like doing right now in the morning. This I can probably save until the afternoon, and then let me finish in the evening. So let's say like I sit down at 1:30 to create some social media posts. I work on that until, once I'm ready to stop, I look at the calendar. I'm like, okay, it's like around 3 o'clock. So I'll just pop that into my Google Calendar as like an appointment, and we'll say, okay, from 1:30 to 3, I'll put that client's name in there as like a block I did for that client and write down like social media post planning for that client. Then I take my break. Say I'm back like around 3:30, 3:45. I'll then put a new appointment in my calendar from 3 to 3:45 as like a lunch break. And so why I do this is because it lets me honor my energy in real time. If I wake up feeling super creative and I lean into that and then do my most brain heavy tasks, or if I'm dragging, I'll focus on the admin work or low energy tasks. And so logging everything after the fact, I'm able to track my actual patterns and then create a realistic sense of how much time different tasks take me. And like, total spoiler alert here, we are all definitely probably underestimating how long things actually take us to do. That's where this became like a total game changer for me in my business. Once I did this 2 years ago, it was like, damn, Anna, you are like definitely underestimating and undercharging the amount of time it takes you to do things. So like this method was not only great for me figuring out like an organized day-to-day configuration, it's just been a huge game changer for pricing my services and figuring out my capacity as well. Because like, let's be real, how many times have you thought something would take you 2 hours only to realize you'd like, okay, maybe this thing actually took me 5. That's great that maybe you felt like it only took you 2 because you like had so much fun doing it and you were in such a good flow. So by logging my time so meticulously, I just was able to get really crystal clear picture of how long certain tasks or projects really took me. And so with that, I was able to adjust my pricing to reflect the actual time and energy I put into my work. And so that doesn't just mean like the work I spent, like, okay, this project is to make 16 social media posts. Okay, so it's at the time that I was logging, obviously the time it takes me to do those social media posts, but what about the time that you're doing where you're like doing other admin of the project, communications, things like that. So like I literally just was logging everything that I was doing. In that sense, it's just been a huge lifesaver in figuring out my client capacity too, because when you're looking at your calendar and realizing like there's no blank space left by the end of the week or the end of the month, that's definitely a clear sign that you are maxed out. You can't take on any more without raising your prices, outsourcing, streamlining your workflow, whatever it may be. So seeing my time like visually laid out has been so helpful for me in making these decisions. And you might be thinking, okay, Anna, like this is just like going back to an hourly counter or like working hourly. And that I hear you, but for me, it feels really different just logging it after the fact. That's what I'm saying. I do it all afterwards because I'm with you in the sense that like if I have a timer on and I know that that's going in the background, that like gives me internal anxiety. And I'm like, okay, I know that there's like a clock I'm working against. Versus if I just happen to like look at the time when I'm getting ready to start a task, even if it's not right at the exact time, like if I start a task and it's 1:37, I'm not like exactly writing that into my Google Calendar. Okay, I started this at 1:37. I'll round it up and be like, okay, I started this at 1:45. If I finish it at, 2:10, I'm not like, okay, I'm writing in 2:10. Then I'll be like, okay, I finished this at 2:15. But it's just that general idea. And then that way you're not working against anything. You don't have that actual background of a timer hitting you. And so not only do I just make this entire system and process very effective, but it's also just a total vibe, because if you've been here for a while, you know that if things don't look cute, then I'm not gonna look at it. I'm not gonna do it. So that's why I just like aesthetically vibify anything that I can in my life and business. So if my Google Calendar didn't look cute, I wouldn't want to do it, let alone look at it. So I made it very pretty, and you definitely can too. So Google Calendar, you are able to like color code absolutely everything. So what I do is that for like all these different time blocks that I have and these appointments that I make in my calendar for these different tasks and things I'm doing, each client gets their own color that matches their branding, which just like super satisfying. And then I have a color that I use for my own business. So for anything I do within my business, that goes pink on my calendar. And then I have a different color that I use for anything on my calendar that was like personal related. I use purple for personal things. So that's like I said, if I go and take lunch, if I have someone call me and I chat with them for a little bit in the day, like anything like that. That also makes it really easy to tell then your work-life balance as well, like putting this all on one calendar, because I know some people like have a certain work calendar and then some people have a separate personal calendar. I personally like to do it all on one because that is a great way to tell your work-life balance. If you've got a lot of your own business stuff going on and you don't have a lot of personal things you're seeing, then that's also a little trend and data you can look at to be like, where can I make some adjustments here? And then not only do I have those colors in there to make it look really pretty, I also add fun little emojis to all of my calendar entries, which like sounds really simple and silly, but literally it makes so much of a difference because when it's fun, it makes me smile, it visually breaks up my schedule, so it's not just like a wall of text and just like all their basic blue entries. So like if I'm working on client posts, I'll add the client's name along with like a fun emoji that I think of that represents their brand. And then same for like if I do a lunch break, I'll put like a little hamburger in there, fries, a sandwich, avocado, like whatever in there just to make it look fun and cute. If I have a flight that I'm going on, I put a little airplane next to it. I don't know. I just like to make it fun and make it a vibe. And so let me tell you, when I go to look at my calendar, I'm like so fun. I'm like so excited to show this off because it just doesn't feel like work. Like I'm so happy to then look at my calendar and it just feels like I'm looking at like my own little like masterpiece in a way. And it just makes it that such a huge difference with wanting to keep up with it as well. Once it's like a fun thing to do, because then since I don't log anything until after I do it, at the beginning of the week, my calendar is completely empty unless I have like a specific appointment that's in there. My calendar's completely empty, and then by the end of the week, it starts getting more and more filled up from those tasks that I was doing. And then like at the end of the day on Friday, it's like gorgeous. So colorful, so emojified, I love it. Now, here's a little like exact step-by-step of everything that I just talked to you about. So first of all, you are tracking your time in real time. So instead of pre-scheduling, I log what I do after I do it. So if I sit down to create content around 1:30ish and stop around 3, I'll add that into an appointment that says client, whatever, content creation. And then if I go to take a break or do something after that, then I add that into my calendar as a break and log the times where I was doing that. Secondly, you're going to use that data to learn about yourself. So after a week or two, review your calendar, notice the patterns and when you're most productive, when you're taking your breaks, how long certain tasks actually take. If you want to take it even further, then number 3 is then using it for your pricing and capacity planning. This is seriously so huge. I cannot stress this enough. So tracking my time helped me understand just how long certain projects take, helped me adjust my pricing. And then when I saw my weeks in my calendar filling up with no space, that's when I realized, okay, I don't have time for any new clients at the moment. So that has given me clarity to either like raise my rates, realize, okay, maybe I need my own assistant or team members at this time, and just rethink how I structure my workload. And so also seeing that stuff can make you realize, okay, if you're like, over the course of these 2 weeks, or if you look at it at the end of the month, I spent X amount of hours making my social media posts or writing my emails or making my blogs, that then can help you realize, okay, what is it that I then need to outsource next? Like, what is the thing that is taking me the most amount of time that I myself don't need to be doing? and going from there. That is a strategic business decision, and you are making that decision on your own, not just because you saw someone online talk about this new deal on a course or something that they have going on, and you're like, oh, maybe that sounds like a great idea of what I should invest in next. But girl, do you actually need it? That's a podcast for another day that I will be recording very soon. But then lastly, to keep up with it, you need to make it pretty and personal. So color code by task, client, type of work, add emojis, things that just like make you smile. So trust me, like this small touch just like turns your calendar into such like a visual, beautiful aesthetic instead of just like something that you dread looking at. And so my favorite part about this system is that it's flexible, intuitive, and just completely adaptable to your energy level. So like if you're feeling super creative one day, lean into that and do your deep work. If you're low energy the next, focus on admin tasks or literally do whatever you are feeling like in the moment that you can do, because the beauty of doing these time blockings is that it honors how you actually work instead of them forcing you into a box. You're literally just like working with what's actually happening in your day, not some like idealized version of how you think your day should go. So that's why if you are someone who struggles with like traditional schedules or feels like you're always like guessing how long things take you, just give this method a try. Like I said, for 2 weeks, just use your calendar. Literally just use your calendar. You've got a calendar, just go ahead and use it. I'll promise that you will be shocked by what you learn about your work patterns. So I really hope that this has given you a fresh perspective on time blocking and how to make it work for you, not against you. So if you try this method out, I would love to hear how it goes. So send me a message over on Instagram at AnnaSchildVA and show me your Google Calendar glow up. Would love to see it. Make it pretty, make it fun, and use it as a tool to learn about yourself and your business. Thank you so much for chilling with me today, and until we chat next time, stay creative, stay inspired, and of course, keep it juicy.